The defensive line of the Vikings is insane. The depth chart is being completely transformed this offseason and the fans are shocked. But how do each of these new pieces fit into Brian Flores' scheme? And most importantly, does this new defense have what it takes to stop opposing offenses? To understand the impact of these acquisitions, we first need to analyze the front office's vision and how each piece fits into this new system. The Minnesota Vikings were one of the most active franchises in this free agency, betting heavily on the overhaul of their defensive line. With the strategic vision of general manager Mensah, the team used salary cap space to transform a unit that desperately needed talent and depth. The focus was clear: reinforce the interior of the line with immediate impact players. The signings of Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave clearly point in that direction, but the overhaul didn't stop there. In addition to bolstering the defensive line, the Vikings also made significant investments in the secondary, re-signing Byron Murphy Jr. and adding new names like Isaiah Rodgers and Jeff Okudah. In 2024, the Vikings struggled both to pressure opposing quarterbacks and to stop the run, which proved costly in crucial moments of the season. Now, with a revamped front seven and a retooled secondary, the defense coordinated by Brian Flores has the potential to become one of the most dominant in the league. One of the first pieces of this overhaul is Jonathan Allen, who joins Minnesota on a 3-year contract worth $60 million. At 30 years old, Allen is still playing at a high level and brings with him an impressive track record of production. His game is centered on the ability to penetrate the backfield, collapse the pocket, and attract double teams, which should open up space for edge rushers like the young Dallas Turner, maximizing pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Even though his last season was cut short by a pectoral muscle injury, Allen still managed to produce 19 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, and 7 quarterback hits in just 8 games. His explosive and aggressive style inevitably draws comparisons to John Randall, the Vikings Hall of Fame legend. If he can return to his Pro Bowl form as seen in 2021 and 2022, Allen will be a key piece in transforming Minnesota's front seven into a true fortress. However, Allen will not be alone in this mission. To further strengthen the heart of the defense, the Vikings also brought in Javon Hargrave, who signed a 2-year, $30 million contract after leaving the San Francisco 49ers. At 32 years old, Hargrave arrives as one of the most efficient pass rushers in the league at the defensive tackle position, accumulating 45.5 sacks and 55 tackles for loss over his career. However, his last season was hampered by a triceps injury, which limited him to just 3 games in 2024, where he recorded 7 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack, and 1 quarterback hit before being placed on injured reserve. His durability may be a concern, but when healthy, Hargrave is a dominant force in the interior of the line. Additionally, his extensive experience in high-stakes moments, including 11 playoff games with the Steelers, Eagles, and 49ers, adds a winning mentality to Minnesota's locker room. The Allen-Hargrave duo will not only bring more pressure on opposing quarterbacks, but also help solidify the defense against the run game, making life easier for the linebackers and edge rushers. With these acquisitions, the Vikings are not only reinforcing their defense, but also sending a clear message to the NFC. They are ready to compete at a high level. In addition to the new additions to the defensive unit, the Vikings secured the retention of a key piece in the secondary, Byron Murphy Jr. The cornerback who joined Minnesota from the Arizona Cardinals in 2023 signed a 3-year, $66 million contract extension, solidifying his role as one of the cornerstones of the defense. Murphy had an impressive performance last season, leading the team with 6 interceptions, while also accumulating 81 tackles, 62 solo 6 tackles for loss, and 14 pass breakups. His ability to read the game and his aggressiveness in coverage were crucial in mitigating the defense's struggles against the pass. The investment in Murphy's renewal may have limited the Vikings' flexibility to pursue other reinforcements at the position, but keeping one of the team's most productive defenders was a necessary decision to provide stability to Brian Flores' scheme. If he continues his upward trajectory, Murphy will be an essential piece in transforming Minnesota's defense into one of the most feared in the NFC. Among the less talked about but highly promising reinforcements is Isaiah Rodgers, formerly of the Philadelphia Eagles. The cornerback signed a 2-year contract potentially worth $15 million and arrives in Minnesota as a strategic piece to strengthen the secondary. Although not one of the most hyped names on the market, Rodgers posted a defensive rating of 85.4 in 2024, ranking as the 12th best cornerback in the NFL against the run game. Rodgers has a history of ups and downs, including a 1-year suspension for violating the NFL's gambling policy, which led to his release from the Colts. However, the Eagles signed him for 2024, and he contributed to the Super Bowl Licks campaign as a rotational player. Now with the Vikings, he is expected to compete directly with Mickey Blackman for the starting role alongside Byron Murphy Jr. His speed and anticipation make him a valuable piece for Flores' aggressive scheme, which requires cornerbacks capable of playing man-to-man coverage. If he can establish himself, Rodgers could be one of the most positive surprises on the defense in 2025. Another addition to the secondary is Jeff Okudah, formerly of the Houston Texans, who signed a 1-year contract with the Vikings. The number 3 pick in the 2020 draft has never been able to solidify his place in the NFL due to successive injuries, playing in only 44 games over 5 seasons. In 2024, Okudah had a quiet stint with Houston, mostly contributing on special teams and recording just 9 tackles and 1 pass breakup in 9 games. However, his combination of size, 6'1" and 205 pounds, and athleticism still makes him an intriguing prospect. In addition to the new defensive additions, the Vikings also secured the return of one of their greatest icons, Harrison Smith. The veteran safety, a 6-time Pro Bowler, signed a 1-year $10.25 million contract, which could reach $14 million, opting to delay retirement for 1 more season in Minnesota. Smith, who was a first-round pick in the 2012 draft, has already played 192 games for the franchise, becoming one of the defense's leaders over the past decade. In 2024, he recorded 87 tackles, 10 pass breakups, 3 interceptions, and 1 sack, showing that he still has an impact within Brian Flores' scheme. Smith's return brings not only experience but also a reference point for the younger players in the secondary. With Cameron Bynum's departure to the Colts, Smith's presence will be even more crucial to maintaining organization and leadership on the field. If he can maintain his level of performance, the Vikings will have one of the most reliable safety groups in the NFL in 2025. In this sense, Theo Jackson's renewal also represents a strategic move to strengthen the secondary and special teams. With Bynum leaving for the Indianapolis Colts, Jackson will have an opportunity for a larger role on defense. His ability to read plays and contest passes stood out during training camp, generating expectations that he could earn more defensive snaps. However, Harrison Smith's return may limit that growth, leaving Jackson once again as a rotational piece. Still, his numbers from last season: 11 solo tackles, 6 special teams tackles, 1 interception, and 3 pass breakups show that he can be an important factor in 2025. Especially if he continues his development on defense and remains a standout in coverage and run support. In addition to bolstering depth at the safety position, the Vikings also added more security to their special teams with the arrival of Tavier Thomas, who joined from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a 1-year contract. Thomas is an 8-year veteran and brings with him a track record of solid production on special teams, accumulating 50 tackles on the unit and 2 blocked field goals over his career. In 2024, he recorded 7 tackles on defense and 7 on special teams, along with a blocked kick in 388 snaps on the unit. His versatility also allows him to contribute in the secondary if needed, but his primary role will be to replace Trent Sherfield Sr., who signed with the Broncos and left a void on special teams. Thomas may not be a highly talked about name during games, but his impact will be felt especially in kicking and return situations where his experience can make a difference in critical moments. In the linebacker core, Minnesota brought back Eric Wilson, who returns to the franchise after 3 seasons away. Wilson, who spent last year in Green Bay, signed a 1-year contract and arrives to add depth to the group led by Ivan Pace Jr. and Blake Cashman. In 2024, he played 558 defensive snaps and 321 on special teams, total in 63 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 4 quarterback hits, 1 interception, 2 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. His return to Minnesota is symbolic as it was with the Vikings that he began his journey as an undrafted free agent in 2017. During his first stint with the team, Wilson went from a special teams specialist to a reliable starter, recording a season of 122 tackles in 2020 before moving on to other opportunities. Now he returns more experienced and ready to assume a rotational role, especially in situational defensive packages and on special teams where his versatility can be a valuable asset for Brian Flores. With the additions of Isaiah Rodgers and Jeff Okudah and the renewal of Byron Murphy Jr., the Vikings are transforming a unit that was a major concern last season. In 2024, the team finished among the 10 worst pass defenses, allowing 238.4 passing yards per game and recording only 11 interceptions, a number below the NFL average. With the arrival of these new reinforcements, the expectation is that this statistic will improve significantly. Defensive coordinator Brian Flores will have more options to assemble flexible schemes, something that has become his trademark since joining Minnesota. Flores is known for using aggressive coverages and frequent blitzes, requiring his cornerbacks to often play man-to-man coverage. Retaining Murphy Jr. ensures a reliable shutdown corner, while Rodgers brings experience in the nickel role and on special teams. Meanwhile, Okudah represents a low-risk, high-potential bet, depending on his physical condition. Additionally, the Vikings also have Mekhi Blackman and Caleb Evans, who were starters at various points last season but still need more consistency to secure a fixed spot in the defense. The competition among these players during training camp and the preseason will be intense, as only the best will earn a place in Flores' rotation. Even with a revamped roster, the Vikings still need to prove that these changes will be enough to compete at a high level within the NFC North A Division, featuring talented quarterbacks like Jared Goff of the Lions, Caleb Williams of the Bears, and Jordan Love of the Packers. Minnesota's defense has already shown promising flashes under Flores' leadership, but to take the next step, the secondary will need to be more consistent and aggressive. If Murphy maintains his elite level, Rodgers displays his versatility, and Okudah finally lives up to expectations, the Vikings could field one of the most intriguing defenses in the NFL in 2025. Now it remains to be seen how these new pieces will fit together and whether the changes will bring the expected impact to the Minneapolis franchise. And you Vikings fans, what's your opinion on the team's moves this offseason? Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and leave a like. Thank you for watching, and go Vikings!